Hi, we are the team Gen Z and my name is Mahesh. So, since the last launch, what are the changes that we have made to our website? First of all the pages are converted into PHP instead of HTML. Remember the quiz page we had? Now it's all capable of marking the answers that you have entered and providing you with your marks and where you have got the answer wrong. If you want, you can retry as well. Then there's a whole new Manage tab which directly connects to the database. Only the website moderators are allowed in this tab. You will have access to check attempts from specific students, delete unwanted attempts, and update the attempts. Now let's call my team to the stage and let them explain the concept in depth. Ranudhi, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ranudhi. So I'm going to talk about the quiz page of our website. Before you enter to the quiz page, you should fill up with this form with your details like name, ID, and Gmail. There are 10 questions as you can see. So I will do a quick demonstration to understand how this page is working. So after you submit, you will automatically navigate to a page like this. In this page, you will see the number of attempts and the marks and the wrong answers. So I will do it again because it has the maximum attempts like 2. So I will do it again. After reaching the 2 attempts, you will get a message like this. So that's all about the quiz page, and the back end of the quiz page will be explained by Lakshan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronaldhi. I am Lakshan and I am going to explain the back end page of the quiz page. First, we make sure that the PHP script is successfully connected to the database, and if so, we are continuing the code. If not, we will print this message and will not do anything until the database is connected. Then we set the time zone of the user so we can get a reference to the time he is attempting the quiz. Then while we are getting the input to the first name and the last name, we validate the no special HTML characters are used in the text fields. And when entering a value to the student ID, we validate it using an HTML markup. Then we have reference to each questions that we added in the quiz page. Then a correct amount variable that is initialized to 0, and this will be used later to calculate the marks of the user. Then we check if the table is available in the database. If not, we run this SQL code so the table would be generated automatically. Then we run another query to record the attempts that a user has in the quiz. At this stage, this line code just marks a record at the end of the code. We will be checking the amount attempted. Then we start marking the quiz using if-else statements, and note that we have used a for search loop to get the correct set of the end of the code. We will be checking the amount attempted. Then we start marking the quiz using if-else statements, and note that we have used a for each loop to get correct set of answers to the second question. This is because the question is a checkbox type, so the user will be able to enter several answers. All the other questions are validated accordingly. If the user enters a wrong value, we will print the questions that are wrong and give the user a chance to retry. After doing all that, we will send the attempt query to the database so the administrators can check them in the Manage tab. So here we will set the result to be null if the user attempted the quiz 2 times. So no query is sent to the database and no database record will be recorded.
everyone, I'm Inha Khan, one of the architects for this website, and I will be explaining the front end of the Manage page, which is a data management page of Duino Tutor's website. This page contains an access restriction allowing only website creators to access this page. Therefore, only authorized users can interact with this. The data management page contains features such as reset primary key, which allows managers to reset and reassign as it is required. It allows the function of managing the primary key of the database. Next is the displaying all attempts and editing access table. It displays records and columns such as attempts, attempt ID, first name, last name, student ID, email, date and time, attempts, and marks. This table summarizes the students' attempts, including their details and results. As we go down below, the page also allows the managers to search for data from the table by listing the student ID and clicking on the Submit ID button. Additionally, some areas have been made to display specific student result sets such as this, every student who got 100% in the first try and every student who got 50% in the second try. This page also allows specific student data to be deleted by entering the ID and selecting the Confirm Delete button. And the last feature is a function to update the marks in the table. The page contains an input field to enter the student ID and the marks that needs to be changed. It also allows marks from 1 to 10 to be entered. This page ends with a footer containing the social platforms for users to interact with the creators. To summarize this page, the front end serves as a database administrative interface for managers, enabling them to view, modify, and alter records based on student efforts, mostly utilizing student IDs as identifiers. Thank you.
Thank you, Minha. My name is Hintu Pereira and I'm the team leader of the team, and I will explain the backend part of this page. So first we are getting the host name, the user, the password, and the SQL database from the settings.php. Then we are going ahead to the query, we are selecting some variables from the attempts, and we're calling the query to effect from this code. So here's a normal structure of its HTML markups. We have 3 meta tags and 4 links. So then we're moving on. Here we have the links to the other pages. So this is the navigation bar of the page, and we're moving to the PHP part of this. So first we are trying to reset this ID. Reset this ID called the attempt ID. So here we have a button to reset it. After we click on the button, we need to refresh the page. So what we're doing here is sending a query with this 3 lines of code. So what it basically does is set the attempt ID to 0 and increment it accordingly throughout the table. So this is made as an enhancement. This is for, like, if we go ahead, if we have 3 to 4 records in our database, if we go ahead and remove the second record, the records will be stored as 1, 3, 4, and 5. So we don't need this. We need it to be updated as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So obviously 5 would not be called because there's only 4 records. So by running this query inside the SQL database, we can reset it. So it would be again 1, 2, 3, and 4. So moving on, first we have the static headers, static table headers over here, because these would not be changed. Then we run a while loop. So inside here we fetch the associate data from the result, and then we're storing it in declared table data rows. So this is a row variable. So we put the attempt ID first, the name, the last name, the student ID, email, the date, and the time it's attempted, and then the amount of attempts and the marks. So then we are coming to this enter student ID to list the data available in the database. So what we're doing here is if a moderator goes ahead and include a student ID in the text field, it will run this query right over here. So we check if the student ID in the query database is same as what we entered. We go ahead and print all of that data inside of table, something like this. It has the same variables as before, but it will only call specific data with the same student ID. So moving on, here we have students who got 100% at their first try. So here we have a condition. So it has to be 100% and the amount of attempts has to be 1. So we have only 3 static table headers, 4 static table headers over here: the first name, last name, student ID, and the marks. So here we declare the query for this, and here we have the condition. So we go ahead and fetch the data from this variable after running this query, and then we're storing it inside of 4 table data rows. Then we're moving on to get every attempt that is a second try and has to have 50 marks, 50% of the marks, which means it's 5. Should be 5 out of 10. So same as before, we have 4 static table headers over here, and then we have another query, and we have the condition over here. Then we run through the while loop again, store the data inside. We're moving on to the other part. So this is, we can delete a record. So we have to enter the student ID and hit on the delete button, and you should refresh the page after doing so. So we're going to pass through the data to here, and we're going to store it inside this variable, and we're going to run this command, this SQL code, to the query, and we check that attempts dot student ID is equal to what we entered, and then we delete all records from a student ID, and it's happening from this code. The query will run from that code. So after that, we can enter the ID of a student and update his or her marks. So we pass through all of that names into this. So then we get a reference to the student ID that has to be updated, and the marks variable. So we go ahead, use this keyword update attempts, set marks equal to the marks that we entered, and where student ID is equal to the student ID we entered, and this will take effect here. And after doing so, you should refresh the page. So this is the footer that we have on our PHP file. So the enhancement section will be explained by Hansi.
Hello everyone, my name is Hansi Sandani, and I will be showing you how the backend of this page works. This is the existing data. From here we can change the marks of a student. We can see the marks has been changed, and when we go to the database, first we should refresh the page. Then we can see the changes has been applied here, and from here we can edit the name, student ID, email, date, time, attempts or anything. First, we can edit the attempts to 2. We can see that it's changed. Next, when we go to the website, we can see now it has also changed. In the database, this table is used to count the number of attempts. We can see here that the attempts has also changed here. So it's evident that all the tables are linked together through the student ID. That concludes my part of the presentation. Thank you all for listening.